It feels like the more that I do creative retreats and workshops, the more I learn how terrified of one's own writing people are. And not just in the practical sense, their lettering, but also the fear of actually writing one's own thoughts down on a piece of paper. And it's actually a really important part of creativity. So today's prompt is poetry. I've got this pebble from a garden. I think it's really important, whatever poem you decide to write about, that you get a tangible object next to you. And we're going to do this little exercise that I create. And as you can see here, I want you to get a big piece of paper that you can scrawl on and write 3 titles. What does it look, feel, and sound like? What memories does it evoke? What could you do with it? And we're going to have 2 rules before we start writing our poem. Rule number 1, you're not allowed to name it. Don't use the word pebble or stone or anything like that, not to begin with. Secondly, you're going to use only descriptive words for this treasure hunting exercise, I'm going to call it. 1, 2, or 3 words. Don't get bogged down with how much you can write to start off with. We're just going to brainstorm, get the information, treasure hunt for the information, and then we're going to write the poem. So after you've treasure hunted for these 3 topics, you're going to create a 5-sentence poem. No, it doesn't have to rhyme, it doesn't have to have certain stanzas, it doesn't have to have any sort of rhythm. We're literally imagining we are some prophetic soothsayer. We're going to write our little poem. And really, this is about breaking down all of those rules that you've once learnt and creating something fun, a little bit of lyricism that's going to be fun. And I really hope you're going to give it a go, and definitely share your poem in the comments below, or share them on the Facebook group. So I'm going to tell you what I wrote, and I'm going to keep it at a slow speed at this point so that you can see what I do. So I'm holding that pebble in my hand, and I'm on the part that says, what does it look, feel, or sound like? So I've got the word faceless to start off with, flat, it's grey, and then as I run my finger over, I've got this little ridge that makes like a little hillock, I guess, like the way you can tell if a hill is a fort hill is it has these little flat spaces in between the wedges. So I've put little hillock. I've put scarred because there's lots of little nooks in it, but it also is quite smooth. So they're the words that I popped down for that section. Next section is, what memories does it evoke? Oh yes, I put ridges down as well. There you go. What memories? So as you're holding your object, and if it's a pebble, and if it isn't, it's something else. What memories does it evoke? These stones are the exact stones that my kids pick up when they go to the beach. Kids, they're not kids anymore, they're adult men. Anyway, these are the exact stones that they pick up. They're perfect for skimming because they're flat, they're lightweight, and they can skim across the ocean and make little jumps. So I've put skimming the ocean, competition trips, I think, loops or leaps, laughter peels, and beach bones. So I use the term beach bones for things that I collect on the beach. And then I think I put sand dweller, because obviously you pick these up on the sand. I suspect that these were part or once of those really big pebbles, almost rocks, and then it's just got bashed about until it's nice and thin and smooth. And then that last section is what could you do with it? So you'll all know probably about building cairns, those kind of layered towers of pebbles, and these are brilliant for doing that. You can use, a good 30 or 40 if you're in competition with your husband and you want to see who can use the most stones. If you've got enough of these, you can tower them on top of each other. So I've put wish tower, cairn builder, palm soother. I often, when I'm working with clients, I've got a big basket of these sorts of pebbles, and I'll often give them to people to hold. It sort of quite soothing to kind of rub your hands over the various different ridges in it. And the final one I put down there is mermaid currency, because it feels to me like this bizarre big penny. Like, when you go to a pier and you squash a penny flat. Okay, so I've sped it all up now because nobody wants to see me writing. And this is me literally bringing those words that I've used together to create a poem. It's nothing clever. I'm just writing 5 sentences. They don't even necessarily need to make sense. So the first poem that I write, and you'll recognise where the words come from: smooth grey sand dweller, I will build a cairn of wishes, and remember the laughter as your scarred ridges skim the ocean. I never stop at one, so then I write another one, which is the one I end up using. Faceless little hillock. I started off dare I, and then I put perhaps. Perhaps if I, as they did, skim the ocean and pay the mermaid, beach-bone treasures will arrive. That was the poem I went with. So then I type it up just in Word, and I change and I use lots of different font and lots of different font sizes so that I've got lots of words to play with. And I've pre-painted in watercolor just a little blue pebble, very simple, just a watercolor pebble. And as the water was still wet, I just put a slightly darker ridge around it so that it bled into the middle, left it to dry. And now what I'm going to do is, I always call these make a ransom letter. I'm going to cut out the words, all different fonts, lay them all down, glue it together, and then that's the pebble done. I really hope you give writing a poem a go. I know it's tricky. I know there's a fear that you're not going to be able to do it or not going to be able to do it right, but there really is no right or wrong. Use my technique if you get stuck, or if you want to print off a poem off the internet and use that, do that. But it's quite nice to make this your own language. Give it a go, and I'll see you all tomorrow.